people. It feels so good to be back. You know, I wanted to try something new. I said, you know what? I like anime. Why don't I do like just occasionally just review whatever anime I happen to be watching? Put some of my favorite anime music in the background, and just talk about maybe a new show that I'm checking out or old anime that I'm checking out, maybe even a manga or two. So yeah, that's what we're doing here today, and it's coming a little bit earlier than I wanted to. The funny thing is, I wanted episode 1 to be about Naruto, because I was watching that, but then I got to the part with the filler, and then I heard that an Ashita Nojo remake thing came out, and I dropped Naruto immediately. I said, fuck this gay shit. I need something cool. I need something manly. I need a awesome anime, and I need it now. And so if you haven't guessed, I'm talking about Megalo Box. Megalo Box is supposed to be like it's like a 50th anniversary special anime dedicated to the Ashita Nojo series. I watched Ashita Nojo a couple years ago, the animated series, and it was pretty good. I liked it. Definitely one of my favorites. But the basic format of this show, I'm gonna keep it real simple, nothing special. Just I'm gonna summarize the anime, talk about my likes, my dislikes, give it a little score, and final thoughts or whatever. Nothing complicated. So let's get right to it. Now, this anime is called Megalo Box. It is a it's a boxing anime. Like I said, it was made to commemorate the 50th anniversary of Ashita Nojo. It was made by the same company who made the Ashita Nojo animated series back in 1980. But yeah, to basically summarize the anime, it's a boxing anime, and it's about this guy who's like he's like an illegal citizen, and he fights in these little underground battles, these boxing matches with his coach. And I think his coach is in debt to the Yakuza or something. So a lot of times, instead of like winning the fight, because he's actually a good boxer, but because his coach is in debt, sometimes he'll throw the fight just so they can make a little extra money on the side. And he's not really feeling this. I mean, he's a thoroughbred fighter. I mean, he wants to know, am I the real deal? Can I really be with the best? And you're never going to find that out if you're throwing fights and fighting in a shitty underground pit somewhere. So he's just all around dissatisfied. He's broke. He's getting punched in the face all the time. He's got to throw fights. I mean, he has no pride, no honor. He's just like, what am I going to do? What am I going to do with myself? So eventually he gets tired of throwing matches, and he decides to say, fuck it, I'm gonna go out there and just knock this guy out. And he does just that. But when he does that, his coach gets in trouble with the Yakuza guy, and from there he has to figure out a way to repay him. So they get the wise idea to enter into this tournament called Megalo Box, which is like this new big boxing league where they utilize these things called gears. I totally forgot to mention like gears, because gears don't really fucking matter in this anime. Let me just back up. Now, one of the little special things or the gimmick with this anime is that the fighters use these things called gears, which are like, they're these attachments to your body, your upper body, and in particular your arms, that enhance your ability to throw punches. So I'm assuming that it increases speed, power, reflexes, things of that nature. And that's like a big thing in this anime. Well, it is, at least early on. It's like, instead of just fighting regular boxing matches, they're using these gears to fight each other. But yeah, they get the wise idea to enter this tournament so they can pay back this Yakuza boss or whatever. And from there, but they need a gimmick. They need a way to make Joe stand out. Joe is the main character in this, also known as Junk Dog. But they need a way to make him stand out, right? So what they do is they make it so he doesn't use a gear. So like just right here, the whole gear thing becomes just stupid because the main character isn't even using one. This is like if fucking Gundam, like this is like making a fucking Gundam show and the main character doesn't use a Gundam. It's ridiculous, and it kind of makes you wonder like why even added like this whole aspect in the first place. I mean, as far as the whole gear thing, the one good thing about it is that it adds sort of a David versus Goliath feel. You know, like the stakes are even higher because, you know, Joe is in these fights with just his, you know, just gloves. You know, he's just a normal dude, but everybody else got these big mechanical arms. So it kind of raises the stakes, which I think is important for such a short show such as this. So yeah, he, you know, he fights matches, he gets his ass beats, he remembers his training, and then he gets up and wins. And that's basically how a lot of the fights in this show goes. But yeah, that was a basic summary. Now, like I said, this is to commemorate the 50th anniversary of Ashita Nojo. So there are like little, like there are a lot of like callbacks and like familiar characters. For example, Junk Dog, which is the main character, that's his initial name. He changes his name to Joe once he gets the fake citizen ID. He also has his coach, who looks as pretty much exactly like the coach from Ashita Nojo. They've got a Rikishi lookalike. They've got this big guy who I guess he's supposed to be like Nishi from the original series, and one of his opponents was named Aragaki, and he was like a military guy who was traumatized. And you know, you also saw a character like that in the original Ashita Nojo series. So there were a lot of cool callbacks, and they had like they had the little kid who had on like Joe's hat from the original Ashita Nojo. So yeah, that was a basic summary. Now I'm going to talk about just some of the good and some of the bad things in particular. Now, first of all, the good thing about it is this is a manly anime. This is like up there with like JoJo, and you know, Fist of North Star, shit like that. Like I love shows that are just about just dudes toughing it out. You know, you gotta man up, you gotta nut up, and you gotta get in the fight, man. You gotta get your ass beat. You know, not a lot of like romance and, you know, slapstick. You know, just not a lot of filler, not a lot of bullshit. It's just, you know, hard guys having a hard life, getting their ass kicked and kicking ass back. So I love shows like this. And there's usually with shows like this, it kind of resonates with your inner man. You know, like just with some of the principles, like just the subtle principles that are laid out within the show and the plot. You know, just about, you know, how you kind of can overcome your own challenges and stuff like that. I take a lot of like advice from anime like this, as far as like just manning up and facing your challenges head on. That's why I like you know, manly shows like this. Also, I thought it had a cool and stylish art style. Like it was certainly not the best It could have been a little bit more fluid at times, but I thought the overall art style was cool and consistent. It definitely wasn't bad. It wasn't quality, if you know what I mean. Also, the music. The music had like a hip hop urban sound. Of course, being a rapper, I like stuff like that. It wasn't really, I mean, the music wasn't really amazing. It was a bit forgettable, to be honest. But the fact that they took it in that direction, I appreciate that. You know, even the main character, you know, he's kind of brown. You know, he's a shade darker than Joe. He even had like a little fro, so I think they were kind of going for that, like a little more of a black, more of a black feel. So I like that. But yeah, like I mentioned earlier, the whole Gears aspect just seemed pointless. You know, like it just gave it that David and Goliath feel. Like, in fact, you know, spoiler alert, the fucking last fight, neither one of them use a gear. You know, and Joe's whole gimmick to rise through the ranks is that, you know, I'm gearless Joe, I don't use a gear. And it's just like, I don't know, it just feels, when it's all said and done, the whole gear thing just feels silly. You know, it's like it was just there as a challenge to be overcome by Joe rather than an integral part of the plot, you know. And even as far as the different gears, because they had, some were better than others. Some people had like high quality gears, and I still don't feel like they fleshed that out enough as far as like how much of an advantage they had. Like, what was the gears doing for them specifically as far as like reflexes and power, you know, other than the one guy, I forgot his name, but he had the red, I think he had the red gears, and his had like an AI built into it. That was pretty cool. But overall, the whole gears thing just felt stupid. I mean, let's just face it, it's a fucking boxing. And like it should just been boxing, you know, once you just make it so useless as they did. But another thing that I like, and this is what I also liked about the original Ashita no Joe, was that, like, if you watch Hajime no Ippo, that'll make you want to be a boxer. Like, something like that makes you want, like yeah, I want to do that. You watch Ashita no Joe, you don't want to be a boxer, because it just looks so, like, it just seems like this dark underbelly, like just this demonic zone. I mean, they really show some of the darker aspects of being a fighter, you know, like Joe and Nishi struggling, and Joe, Nishi, and Rikishi struggling with weight management and having to starve themselves half to death, and showing characters like, I think, Carlos and eventually Joe have brain damage from boxing and having to deal with that, you know, showing some of the more darker aspects of being a fighter. I really appreciated that, because it added just an extra layer of realism. And, you know, I guess this being so short, and I guess they didn't want to end it on a bad note, they didn't show like a lot of the bad aspects of being a fighter, but just one small detail, like they showed Joe pissing blood, and I know that's like a very real thing that happens to fighters. You know, they get a lot of body shots, and that can fuck with your kidneys, and you start pissing blood. Like, I know, I heard that Muhammad Ali, he was pissing blood at one time, and I think Marvin Hagler, I think he was pissing blood at one time. So that's a very real thing. And then they show like all the bruises that he had from just fighting back to back to back, and how he needed to recover, and just showing things like that. I appreciate it, because it shows that fighting isn't just this glamorous fucking thing where you just put on some gloves and just man up. Like, no, you take real damage, and that shit really fucks up your body and your mind. And, you know, I just appreciate that. And also, I guess the overall moral of the story, which isn't really anything, you know, complicated or complex or deep. You know, I think even going back to Ashita no Joe, it's kind of all the same, and it's just that, you know, seize the day. You got to seize. It's all about today. You got to you gotta live it up for today. Not necessarily being hedonistic and overindulgent, but just just going as hard as you possibly can, doing what you love. Joe always said, I want to go out, like in a hot flame, and there's nothing left but white ash, so some shit like that. I forgot how the speech exactly went, but I always just interpreted that as seizing the day, going as hard as you possibly can, you rather burn out than fade away. Just go all the fuck in, man. And I love that. I love that bit of philosophy that's embedded within Ashita Nojo. And one other minor thing I didn't like, it is a boxing anime, which means it's gonna be very action focused. But I felt like the fights were a bit mediocre. That's one thing I didn't like. The fights were okay, but I felt like this show was mostly held up by its plot. I think the story and plot was actually pretty okay, and I feel like the action was just it was there. It was decent. I just feel like it should have been better. Like, they didn't go really in depth as far as like special techniques or specific things like flicker jabs or this kind of hook or this kind of maneuvering and head movement, a little bit here and there. They kind of sprinkle a little bit of sweet science here and there, but overall I just felt like it was lacking in like special techniques, complicated strategies that someone had to think of on the fly in the middle of battle, stuff like that. I feel like it was just missing. It was pretty straightforward. Joe would hop in the ring, get his ass beat a little bit, my training, and then he'll just snap in the third gear and just start whipping ass. So that's my basic that's basically it. That's my review of Megalo Box. I think overall I would give this show I'll probably give this like a 7 out of 10. I think it was pretty good for what it was. I didn't really expect much out of a 13 episode anniversary special for Ashita Nojo. I think they pretty much did an okay job, a pretty good job. It was definitely refreshing, if anything. It was just nice having something like that, because there's been a lot of I kind of fell off with the whole anime thing for a while, and that kind of brought me back into it. So it was definitely refreshing getting this kind of anime again. It's just a shame that it's so short. I doubt they're gonna do a follow-up. I'm not sure, but I don't really think so. It seemed like they kind of they ended it on a good note. But yeah, I give it about a 7. It was okay. It's nothing great, but it's short and easily digestible. I think if you're looking for like a quick fix of like a nice manly anime with no bullshit, just going hard, fighting for your life type shit, then definitely check out Megalo Box. It's not too long. It's pretty damn groovy. I like it. And that's about it, man. I'll check you guys out later. And if you have any requests for an anime that you want me to review or check out, just let me know. I'll see what I can do. And if you're not aware, on one of my episodes of How to Be a Neat, I think episode 2 or 3, where I talk about anime, I have a list that shows like all the shows that I watch. So find that, and then you can see what I've already seen, so you don't recommend some shit that I've already seen. So thank you guys so much for paying attention and checking out this video. I'm gonna try to do more of these because it's so much fun watching anime and critiquing it, and really doing research like I had to do for this one. So yeah, man, I'll see you guys later.